What if events had unfolded differently in the MCU? What if the Ultron program became a success in Age of Ultron? What if Ultron became a success and worked as intended, as a peacekeeping program and not a sentient being bent on the destruction of the world? In today's fanfic, we will explore of what if Ultron worked successfully and how this would shape the MCU timeline. If you guys do enjoy these what ifs, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. That being said, before we begin our video, I want to give a big shout out to our brand new sponsor. What if events went differently? What if you dreamed of a fantastic, genuinely AAA quality game in your hands? What if you could dive into this game and play it at any time? And now you can with Raid Shadow Legends. Tour millions of unique champion combinations and master countless tactics as you take on raid bosses, dungeon runs, campaign battles, and PvP arena matches, with hundreds of amazing artifacts to equip and over 600 champions blessed with unique skills. You can build your very own team, develop your champions, and raid your way. Use my QR code or links below to download Raid yourself to your mobile phone or your PC. Assuming you've known about Raid Shadow Legends, you know it has many different and unique champions, over 600 now, but it also has an insane amount of bosses too. What if I told you I'm going to spotlight one of them for you? Bamal the Dreadhorn is the new boss in Doom Tower Rotation 3 in Raid Shadow Legends. I love how he has a variety of insane abilities that make it a difficult fight. Bamal the Dreadhorn can place bombs on your champions, inflict HP burn debuff, remove your champion's buff, and summon dread bombs to bargain an enormous measure of harm to your champions. I think he's one of the most difficult Doom Tower bosses, as he has a high amount of accuracy, and his bombs are unblockable and cannot be removed. The detail in this guy makes him terrifying, which is another feature I love about him, so why not battle him? There's more. Raid's got a non-stop schedule of special events and crazy activities, including Forge Pass Season 3, with some outstanding new rewards on offer, including a limited edition artifact set. If this isn't enough, Raid's bringing out some brand new champions and awesome looking champion skills for the incredible Madame series. But wait, here's the big news drop. Later this month, Raid is giving everybody's favorite champion the upgrade he deserves. In some of Raid's hilarious videos, you could have seen his Battle of Wonder, but finally, Death Knight is coming as a legendary champion. It's something we've all been waiting for, and I can't wait to see how Ultimate Death Knight turns out. There's never been a great opportunity than this one. Now get started. New players, use my link or scan the QR code right here on the screen and get a free starter pack worth almost $30. A free champion Tay roll in this awesome, cool looking game loot. You will find these rewards in your inbox for the next 30 days. Once you're in, you can find me in game under my username Miss Lapart, and if you're fast, you can even join my clan. And that's it, that easy. Just click the link in the description below and I'll see you in the game. That being said, I want to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Tony Stark and Bruce Banner had discovered an artificial intelligence in Loki's scepter gem. They decided to secretly use it to complete Tony's Ultron global defense program. Tony wanted to create a suit of armor to defend Earth against any potential threats, especially after the events of Loki's invasion back on New York in 2012. In the original timeline, Ultron grew a consciousness, and then he intercepted into Jarvis's network and saw all of the wars, pollution, and the damages done by the Avengers back in 2012. Realizing that Earth is corrupted and needed to be cleansed, Ultron formed a plan to attack and destroy Earth. But in this fanfiction timeline, Ultron did not intercept into Ultron's network, but instead of destroying Ultron's AI, Ultron accepted his new role as a peacekeeper of Earth against potential world and celestial threats. Ultron in his new body, made of scraps, came out during the Avengers party. At first, they were shocked to see a robot which is damaged severely approaching them. The Avengers were cautious and wanted to attack Ultron. Bruce and Tony then told them about the Ultron program. Thor was furious that they decided to use parts of Loki's scepter. He said that Loki's weapon and powers are unstable, and even he is unaware of their capabilities. Ultron introduced himself and said that he meant no harm to the world. He will fulfill his objectives to being Earth's main peacekeeping program, but he said that he needed a stronger body and that he could amass his own legion of Ultron bots. Captain America was hesitant as he said that he could not trust Ultron since that Ultron was manifested from Loki's scepter indirectly. Ultron said that he will not interfere with political or military affairs as he believes that the government can handle itself. He will not dabble with issues such as an invasion of Loki back in 2012. Ultron even offered Stark and Bruce to create a kill switch on him in case he goes rogue. Stark and Banner decided to work on fine-tuning Ultron. Ultron said that he did his research in a database and there was a man that goes by the name of Claw. He's an arms dealer, and he had vibranium in Johannesburg. Ultron said that arming his body with vibranium would give him a much better edge in combat. Steve Rogers also said that the Maximoff twins were still on the loose in Sokovia. He is afraid that due to their superhuman capabilities, if they end up in the wrong hands, things might go south. Ultron, with a new temperate body created by Stark and Banner, headed to Sokovia alongside Cap, Tony, and Natasha Romanoff. They wanted to shut down Claw's illegal operations of smuggling vibranium. According to Ultron's intel, Claw has been smuggling vibranium since 1992. He said that this is an essential to take down Claw's operations, as the vibranium belongs to an isolated nation which possessed as a third world country, also known as Wakanda. They eventually overpowered and imprisoned Claw. Cap said that they needed to locate the Maximoff twins too, to take them into custody. With the help of Ultron and the Avengers, they managed to detect the Maximoff twins in Sokovia. To avoid a battle from breaking out, as they were unsure of the Maximoff twins' fully capabilities, the Avengers sent Natasha, Captain America, and Ultron to retrieve the twins. As they arrived in Sokovia, Ultron detected some anomalies where they were. He was picking up some strange readings where someone was running at super speed near them. With the artificial intelligence from the Mind Stone from Loki's scepter and Jarvis's AI, Ultron managed to pinpoint the location of Pedro Maximoff. Pedro then ambushed them, but Ultron managed to grab him by the neck. As he was choking him, Captain America said that they are not there to kill them, but rather question them. Just then, Wanda came from behind and started planting haunting memories in both Natasha and Cap. They started seeing visions of the past. Wanda tried to do the same to Ultron, but failed, as he is a robot and AI from the Mind Stone, and it was far superior. Ultron then punched Wanda, knocking her out. He was about to kill Pedro before Tony told him over the radio not to kill him. Ultron agreed to Tony's advice and threw him to the ground. Steve Rogers and Natasha recovered from the haunting visions, and they saw that Ultron had already captured both of them. They brought the twins back to the Avengers headquarters. Wanda and Pedro were furious when they saw Tony Stark there. They blamed Tony for the death of their parents, which resulted in them being experimented on by Baron Strucker. Tony said that the weapons they were created during the days where he was still active in the weapons development, but now he has already forgone that path. Tony said that he can't bring the Maximoff twins' parents back, but he can help them and have a better future with them. Cap said that with the Avengers by their side, they will not have to worry about being manipulated by others. The Avengers then stormed Strucker's last Hydra base in Sokovia. Strucker wasn't killed, but arrested instead. As the Maximoff twins and Ultron were not the villains in this timeline, Bruce didn't go on killing people and rampaging in Johannesburg. The Hulkbuster armor was not used by Stark, and Thor didn't hallucinate about the apocalyptic future, as he wasn't manipulated by Wanda either. As a result, Thor wasn't aware of the Infinity Stones. Sokovia was not destroyed, and the Sokovia Accords didn't come into play. Ultron continued to be the main peacekeeper program of the world, alongside with his legion of Ultron sentries. General Thunderbolt Ross and several government officials were not satisfied with the Avengers having a global defense program, as they felt their status as the US government is being threatened. They told the Avengers that acting alone, and they needed someone else to oversee Ultron and them. Tony disagreed and said to give some time for Ultron to act if any catastrophe events were to occur. If Ultron acted out of his boundaries, they will surrender the program to General Thunderbolt Ross. Otherwise, Ultron will be under their team. General Ross agreed to give them a month to prove that Ultron is not a loose screw. King T'Chaka decided to introduce Wakanda to the world and aided them. And Lagos, the Avengers were trying to stop Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones, from stealing biological weapons from the lab. In the original timeline, Rumlow detonated the biological weapons, but Wanda managed to contain it. Unfortunately, Wanda diverted the explosion and accidentally killed several Wakandan humanitarian workers in the process. But in this timeline, thanks to Ultron's support, Ultron managed to summon several sentries and wrapped themselves around Brock. Together with Wanda's telekinesis, the sentries armed with vibranium wrapped themselves and absorbed the damage. As a result, no innocent civilians were killed. With the Accords being scrapped, the UN conference in Vienna was not held. King T'Chaka, T'Challa's father, was not killed in the explosion. The entire Civil War timeline was erased from this timeline. Baron Zemo was also not a part of this timeline, as his family was still alive due to the events of Age of Ultron not happening. Bucky Barnes remained as a ghost, as he was alive and he had a peaceful life in Vienna. Bruce Banner was still on Earth, as he didn't have episodes of his rampage. With no civil war in Wakanda, King T'Chaka continued his reign as King of Wakanda. Thor himself returned to Asgard, but he wasn't aware of the Infinity Stones. He merely wanted to return to Asgard to see how things were going. He also brought Loki's scepter back with the Mind Stone attached to it. Barton retired from the Avengers temporarily to spend time with his family. With the events of Civil War not occurring, the Avengers remained intact on Earth. There was no Team Cap or Team Tony. Peter Parker was still an amateur hero who handled petty crime. He appeared on Tony's radar as one of the rising superheroes, but Tony didn't want to have the kid in his team since the Avengers were already pretty solid. With both Wanda and Pedro still alive and together, the Avengers were strong. Vision also didn't exist in this timeline, as Ultron was already a success. The events of Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange would occur nevertheless. Thor would not fight Hulk on Asgard, as Bruce was still under control. Asgard would eventually be destroyed thanks to Hela, but Thor managed to unleash Surtur, which eventually devoured Hela and the rest. Loki ended up stealing not only the Tesseract, but also the Mind Stone from his scepter. With 2 Infinity Stones in hand, Thanos and the Black Order intercepted the spaceship carrying the surviving Asgardians. He has just acquired the Power Stone after decimating Xandar. After subduing Thor, the Mad Titan then extracted the Space Stone from the Tesseract. Thanos then said that Loki also possesses another Infinity Stone. Heimdall, who was bleeding and on the verge of death, mustered his last strength to send Thor back to Earth. Loki knew that this was the only chance to pass the Mind Stone to Thor. If Thanos were to have 3 stones straight away, there would be a huge disadvantage. Loki then threw his scepter to Thor before Thor was transported to Earth with the Bifrost. Before Thor was teleported, he saw the Mad Titan snapped Loki's neck like in the original timeline. Thor screamed in agony as he saw the entire spaceship explode before his eyes. Thanos said that although Thor has brought back the Mind Stone to Earth, he knows that there will be many defenders of Earth, so he will split the team into 2. Ebony Maw, Call Obsidian, arrived on Earth. Thor, meanwhile, crash landed in the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York City. Doctor Strange, who has previously encountered Thor when he helped them to search for his father, father, Odin, earlier was surprised to see Thor. Thor was holding Loki's scepter and was speechless. He was furious and said that Thanos just killed his brother Loki and that the other Asgardians, and all he wants is vengeance. Strange and Wong were confused but understood. After he told them about what happened, with the Earth's safety in danger, Strange went to meet with Tony Stark. Tony at first dismissed about what is going on, as he said that Ultron would have picked up something if there were any anomalies in space entering Earth. Thor said that Thanos is coming for all of the Infinity Stones. With 2 stones in hand, he is already the strongest being in the entire universe. Just then, Ultron alerted the Avengers HQ that there were giant spaceships in the shape of donuts entering the Earth's atmosphere. Ultron then activated the Iron Legion across the world. Thousands of Ultron sentries with vibranium equipped armor were stationed. Cull and Ebony Maw arrived in New York City. Peter Parker, who was still an amateur hero and on a school trip with his friends, had his spider sense tingling. He also saw the donut spaceships entering the Earth's atmosphere. He put on his Spider-Man suit and swung towards the location. Ultron, Tony, Thor, Wong, and Strange confronted Ebony Maw and Cull Obsidian. Ebony battled with Strange and Wong, while Tony, Thor, and Ultron fought against Cull. This time, due to Ultron's presence, the Black Order dispatched a horde of Outriders in New York to balance the odds. Ultron sentries were also dispatched to handle the Outriders. The Outriders were easily destroyed as Ultron's sentries were too destructive for them. Cull Obsidian was slammed when both Ultron and Tony combined their Unibeam power and shot Cull right in the chest. He was dead. Ebony was surprised at Earth's heroes. Realizing that he was outnumbered, he needed a tactical retreat. He then used his telekinetic powers and levitated a spaceship before hurling it onto a building where there were civilians in it. Ultron and the rest quickly stopped the building from crashing, but this gave time for Ebony to escape. Thor tried to attack Ebony, but Ebony hurled several vehicles towards him. Peter Parker came on time to web the car and threw it away. He then helped to evacuate the other civilians who were fleeing. Ebony Maw then fled. The Outriders were wiped out thanks to Ultron and his sentries. Realizing how grave the situation is, Stark decided that they needed to regroup, but in Wakanda, he wanted to analyze further the Mind Stone from the scepter. Ultron said that if he were to be integrated with the Mind Stone, it would amplify his strength much more. Thor said that Spider-Man has shown admirable courage in combat and that they need as many fighters' forces as possible against Thanos. Tony decided to allow Spider-Man to join the Avengers to Wakanda. He then said that he has kept an eye on Spider-Man all this time, but didn't actively recruit him as he was still in school. But this time, with Earth's future uncertain, any extra hand would be helpful. Tony told the other Avengers to regroup at Wakanda. Time is of the essence. With the Avengers grouped on Earth, they started working together. King T'Chaka welcomed the Avengers after knowing about Thanos' plan. Shuri, Bruce, Tony, and Ultron worked together to integrate the Mind Stone into his mind. They believe that Thanos will strike Earth soon. Doctor Strange has the Time Stone as the Sorcerer Supreme. Ebony Maw informed Thanos that they have failed and that Cull was slain. They have underestimated the strength of Earth's heroes. Thanos told Ebony to meet at Titan. Unlike the original timeline where Peter and Tony were aboard Maw's spaceship and Strange was abducted this time, Ebony Maw was alone and made his way to Titan. The events of Innenberg, where Midgard and Glaive ambushed Wanda and Vision, did not happen. Vision never existed, nor the Mind Stone was still in Loki's scepter. The Avengers arrived in Wakanda, and Tony helped to strengthen the barrier around Wakanda. Ultron deployed another few 100,000 of Ultron sentries across the globe. The moment a strange anomaly is detected, the sentries will be deployed. The Guardians of the Galaxy did not receive any distress calls and were as usual with their own business across the galaxy. Thanos went to nowhere, where he took the reality stone with ease from the Collector, as the Guardians had no idea that Thanos was already plotting to obtain the Infinity Stone. They never went to nowhere. Thanos now possesses 3 stones: Reality, Space, and Power Stone. Thanos then tortured Nebula into giving the location of the Soul Stone. Without getting any information, Thanos then instructed Ebony to send a transmission to Star-Lord's spaceship. The transmission had a video recording of Nebula being tortured. Thanos said that if Gamora doesn't come to save her within the next few hours, Nebula will no longer be her sister and would be torn into shreds. Gamora was furious, but she wasn't sure whether it was a trap. Nebula then said Thanos knows that Gamora knows of the location of the Soul Stone. Nebula cried before the video feed ended. The Guardians said that it was clearly a trap, but Gamora said that this could be the truth. Drax was also looking for his opportunity to kill Thanos for good. The Guardians decided to head to the coordinates where Thanos gave them. It was none other than Thanos' birth home, Titan. The Guardians arrived with caution. They saw that nobody was there. Gamora then saw Thanos with Nebula. Thanos was telling them about his goals of getting all of the Infinity Stones before using them to wipe half of the universe as salvation. Drax was furious and charged towards Thanos, but Thanos easily uses the Power Stone to slam him towards the ground. The Guardians then attacked Thanos but were no match. Only Gamora managed to pierce Thanos, but it was nothing more than a simple wound. Thanos then grabbed Gamora and told her to reveal where the Soul Stone was. Gamora said that she doesn't know the location as she never discovered it. They saw Nebula being stretched even further to the brink of death. Gamora then said that she will bring Thanos to the location of the Soul Stone, which was Vormir. Thanos then smiled and used the Reality Stone to change the illusion of Nebula. Nebula was already dead and her body was dismantled into pieces. Gamora screamed and wanted to stab Thanos, but he used the Reality Stone to change her sword into bubbles. He then used the Space Stone and disappeared. The Guardians approached Nebula, who was already dying despite having fought with her many times in the past. They felt sorry for her. Nebula then whispered to go to Earth. The last 2 Infinity Stones are located there. Earth has much more stronger heroes that could fight against Thanos. She overheard when Ebony was reporting his failures in the first invasion. The Guardians then plotted the coordinates to Earth and carried Nebula back to their spaceship. Rocket Raccoon and Groot tried their best to fix her, and Thanos would then sacrifice Gamora to obtain the Soul Stone at Vormir. 4 stones done, 2 left. Thanos then directed his entire army of Jatari, Outriders, and of Earth were already prepared. Ready for combat. Aerial attacks while Thor was about to complete his inner. And the Outriders and Jatari were than expected. Thor, meanwhile, doesn't have his Stormbreaker as he never went to nowhere. He also doesn't have his hammer, which was already destroyed by Hela during the events of Ragnarok. Earlier, King T'Chaka had forged a vibranium axe for Thor. While it doesn't have the same powers as Mjolnir, but it would be able to put up a good fight against the Mad Titan. The heroes went into all-out war against Thanos and his armies. The Black Order fought against Captain America, Wanda, Natasha, T'Challa, Oki, and Spider-Man. Thanos, meanwhile, used the Space Stone to teleport himself to where Doctor Strange was. Strange was surprisingly waiting for Thanos. Strange tried to trap and battle with Thanos in the mirror dimension, but the Mad Titan used the Power Stone to amplify his strength and broke free from the mirror dimension. The Sorcerer Supreme used different arcane arts to try and stop Thanos, but eventually he ran out of tricks. Thanos managed to grab Strange and was about to remove the Time Stone from him before he heard someone screaming and charging towards him. It was none other than the Incredible Hulk. Hulk smashed and pummeled the Mad Titan several times before he and Strange tag teamed to to weaken Thanos. Tony and Thor also came in and battled sooner, turning the tides of the fight. Thanos remembered that he has sacrificed his daughter Gamora, and he was enraged and used the Reality Stone to create illusions of spaceships crashing down on them. He then used the Space Stone and teleported to the room where Ultron and the Mind Stone were. To his surprise, there was nobody there. He then heard a voice that has been waiting for an opponent like Thanos all these years. Ultron, with the Mind Stone activated, commanded forth a huge legions of sentries overswarming Thanos. Thanos used the Power Stone to detonate all of the sentries, but with Thanos already weakened, Ultron then blasted several unibeams towards Thanos, further weakening him. Strange, Hulk, Thor, and Tony also came to Ultron's aid. Just then, a bright light appeared in the sky. Both heroes and villains looked up. They saw a spaceship coming down crashing in the middle of the battlefield. It was none other than the Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians were surprised to see another group of heroes were able to stand toe-to-toe with the Mad Titan. Not being satisfied, Star-Lord ordered the Guardians to attack the Avengers, who were battling Thanos. He said that nobody touches Thanos except them. The distraction allowed Thanos to use a Space Stone to temporarily escape. The skirmish between the Avengers and the Guardians were not long. Star-Lord said that they want to slay Thanos themselves, and he said that he knew what happened to Gamora, his lover. The Guardians then fought with the Avengers, but were easily defeated. Ultron said that they were petty and that they shouldn't be fighting, but they should be stopping Thanos. Suddenly, Thanos emerged from behind with a giant double-handed sword. He stabbed Ultron right in the middle of his power source. Ultron was struggling and Thanos grabbed the Mind Stone from Ultron's lifeless body. They could not believe it. Their main defender has just perished. Strange knew that if Ultron fails, they have no chance against the Mad Titan. He then decided to use the Time Stone to reverse time back to before Thanos emerged. As the Guardians were fighting with the Avengers, Strange warned Ultron of the rest and that Thanos would backstab Ultron with the sword. Strange gave the Time Stone to Ultron for him to integrate with himself so that he will be on par with Thanos at least. With both the Time and Mind Stone on himself, Ultron felt an
But the Age of Ultron was only beginning.
With both the Time and Mind Stone on himself, Ultron felt a new strong surge of energy. Time resumed back, and Thanos appeared as predicted. But Ultron managed to avoid the stab. Ultron also told the Guardians to put away their ego, and once Thanos is defeated, they could decide what to do next. Ultron with the Mind and Time Stone, the Avengers and the Guardians with Ultron's sentries combined their forces and overwhelmed Thanos. Ant-Man was destroying all of the Thanos armies. Eventually, the Mad Titan, even with the 4 Infinity Stones, was unable to hold against Ultron with 2 Infinity Stones and the rest. The Mad Titan suffered heavy damages to himself, and Thanos looked around and saw the Black Order, and most of his armies have already been decimated. Wanda used her telekinesis to hold down Thanos, while the rest of them tried to remove the gauntlet. They knew that they had to prevent Thanos from snapping. Ultron eventually removed the gauntlet from Thanos before placing all of the Infinity Stones on himself. Tony then told Ultron to perform the snap. Ultron then snapped, causing Thanos and his armies to be dusted. Thanos said that he could not believe that even with 4 stones, he was unable to defeat them. Ultron said that Thanos has clearly underestimated the strength of the heroes of Earth. The Guardians then acknowledged the strength of the Avengers. Shuri helped to repair Nebula, and Ultron said that the best route would be to bring the stones back to their separate entities. He fears that things could get messy if they kept a hold of the Infinity Stones. Tony and Bruce agreed, and they decided to separate the stones. They decided to let Ultron possess the Mind Stone, as he was capable of handling it himself. Strange took back the Time Stone, Thor decided to take the Reality and Power Stone, and Star-Lord took the Soul Stone and wanted to head to Vormir to see if he could get Gamora back in any way. Thor followed the Guardians of the Galaxy as he said that he wanted to seek more truth of the stones. He also said that he wanted to go to Nivellir to see if he can forge a new weapon for himself. The Avengers decided to keep the Space Stone to investigate the mysteries behind its power. Tony would be Spider-Man's mentor like in the original timeline, although this was delayed for over 2 years. Instead of handing over Peter new toys and suits, he decided to improve some aspects of his suit, and that's about it. Tony quit being Iron Man but still became the advisor to the Avengers. Ultron continued to spearhead the global defense program, but this time Ultron also launched several sentries into space to explore the possibilities of other beings, such as Thanos or anyone else in the universe. Ultron then started hearing a voice in his mind, telling him that if he were to possess all of the Infinity Stones, he could have ruled not just Earth, but all of the multiverse. Ultron didn't know what he heard, but he decided to dismiss it. He wondered what would have happened if he were to be a god instead of a merely program. And that is going to be, what if the Ultron program became a success in Avengers Age of Ultron? And what if Tony Stark had his wish of having a world defense program? That is going to be it for this long-awaited what if the Ultron program had been a success in Age of Ultron. If you guys did enjoy this long-awaited Marvel's What If episode, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with latest content. But anyways, as always guys, thanks for tuning in and have a fantastic day.